If you watch the first video in this series, you're no longer the same person, seriously, because now you know something that most people will spend their entire lives without understanding, that there's a language that precedes words, a body language that determines who commands and who obeys even before a sentence is spoken. You learned how slow movements separate predators from prey, how occupying space establishes automatic territorial dominance, and how the simple act of controlling the speed of your gestures can make people categorize you as an authority without question. But here's the truth. What you've learned so far is the foundation, the basis. It's like learning the musical notes before playing a symphony. It's essential, it's powerful, but it's not the complete game. Because there's a brutal difference between knowing how to move slowly and occupy space versus knowing how to use strategic immobility to create psychological pressure that breaks people's resistance. There's a difference between understanding that hierarchy exists versus knowing exactly how to manipulate visual geometry to force someone to look up at you and subconsciously accept an inferior position. And that's exactly what you're going to learn in the next few minutes. The intermediate level techniques that transform basic knowledge into real power. Machiavelli observed that politics guided by reality, not ideals, requires not only understanding the principles, but mastering refined execution. So in this second video, we'll delve into 11 specific techniques that will teach you how to create intimidating stillness, how to use head position as a weapon of hierarchy, how strategic pauses make your words worth their weight in gold, and how emotional ambiguity transforms you into someone unpredictable that everyone tries to please. If the first video gave you the fundamentals, this one gives you the weapons. So pay attention to every detail, because the level of sophistication has now increased. And this is where most people give up, because they become too uncomfortable. But not you. You'll go all the way. If something inside you awakened while listening, don't ignore that feeling. This channel isn't about videos, it's about memories. Remember who you were before the fear, before the exhaustion, before the silence. Each new video here is a different reflection of your own soul, an invitation to understand what the world never taught you. The power you seek outside has always been within you. If you feel that this journey speaks to what lives silently within you, sign up now. Not to follow yet another creator, but to reconnect with something the world tried to make you forget. Because here, every word was made to heal, each reflection to awaken, and each video serves as a reminder. You are not alone on the path back to yourself. Click on subscribe and turn the algorithm into a daily reminder of who you really are. And if you're subscribed to the channel, we have a bonus in the first pinned comment. Now we're going to delve into territory that will explain why some people manage to get everyone to do what they ask, while you, asking for the same thing, are simply ignored. The difference isn't in the words. You can use the exact same phrases, the same terms, the same tone of voice. The difference lies in the body language that accompanies those words, and this difference transforms a request into an order or an order into a plea. Look, when you need someone to do something and you say, "I need you to finish this by tomorrow," but your voice rises at the end of the sentence, as if it were a question, you look away after speaking, your body leans slightly forward, seeking approval, and you finish with a nervous smile. You've just transformed a clear instruction into a fragile request that can be ignored without consequence. The other person's brain has picked up on all these signs of insecurity and categorized your demand as optional, negotiable, or negotiable. On the other hand, when someone with a dominant presence says the exact same words but maintains a firm voice that descends at the end, affirmation, not a question, sustains eye contact until the other person looks away first, keeps their body still and relaxed without seeking approval, and ends with a neutral expression, that same phrase becomes an order that the other person's brain feels compelled to obey. Not out of fear, not out of aggression, but because all the non-verbal signals are saying, this is non-negotiable. This is an expectation that will be fulfilled. How the body defines who commands and who obeys before words operates at this microscopic level of interaction. Let's break down the specific elements that make this brutal difference. First, eye contact. When you make a request and immediately look away, you're subconsciously communicating, I'm not sure if I have the right to ask this. Please don't be angry with me. When you make a request and maintain firm eye contact, not aggressive but sustained, you're communicating, I have complete confidence that this will be done, and I'm here to ensure you understand. Second, vocal prosody. This business of raising your voice at the end of sentences is an authority killer. In Brazilian Portuguese, we have a cultural tendency to do this to sound more friendly, but the cost is high. You transform statements into questions, certainties into doubts. Practice ending your instructions with your voice lowering as if you were stating a fact of the universe. Compare, can you finish this by Friday? Voice rising, body leaning, gaze averting, with, I need you to finish this by Friday. Voice lowering, body still, sustained gaze. Same request, completely different impact. Third, body posture. Leaning forward when asking for something is a sign of pleading, of someone asking for a favor. Keeping your body relaxed but upright, or even leaning slightly backward, communicates that you are granting the opportunity to accomplish the task, not begging for it. Here's a subtle yet brutally effective technique that separates requests from orders: silence after instruction. When you give an instruction and immediately begin to explain, justify, or worse, fill the silence with, okay, can you do it? It's okay if you can't. We'll see. You've just transformed an order into a negotiable request. The calculated use of force includes the calculated use of silence. People with a dominant presence do this. They give the instruction, stop talking, and just look, waiting for confirmation. Silence creates a subtle psychological pressure that compels the other person to fill that void with acceptance. Machiavelli observed that effective princes didn't over-justify or over-explain their decisions. They simply communicated them and expected obedience, because the very expectation of obedience created obedience. It's almost magical how it works. When you act as if obedience is inevitable, through confident body language and silence after instruction, obedience becomes inevitable. When you act as if obedience is uncertain, through insecure body language and excessive justifications, obedience becomes uncertain. Decisions based on real human nature show that people tend to fulfill expectations that are communicated with absolute conviction, and tend to ignore expectations that are communicated with doubt and insecurity. Now we get to the practical part, where you'll learn specific techniques that can be applied immediately to transform your presence. And the first one is so simple it might seem silly, but so powerful that it will completely change how people react to you. Moving slowly. We're not talking about ridiculous slow motion that will make you look weird, but a deliberate and controlled slowness in every movement you make. Think about how you normally move, probably fast, almost hurried, as if you were constantly running late or afraid of bothering someone. When you pick up an object, you pick it up quickly. When you turn your head, you turn quickly. When you gesture, the gestures are accelerated. And do you know what that communicates to the primitive brain of the observer? Anxiety, nervousness, low status. Because in nature, those who move quickly are prey fleeing from predators. Have you noticed how a rabbit moves, fast, nervous, in a constant state of alert? Now think about how a lion moves, slowly, deliberately, without any hurry. The lion doesn't need to hurry because it has no predators. He controls the environment, and when you deliberately slow down your movements, you are subconsciously communicating exactly that. I control time. I am not controlled by it. It's a powerful signal of dominance that works because it taps into millions of years of evolution ingrained in our brains. Machiavelli observed in princes who commanded this quality of controlled movement. They never seemed hurried, never seemed anxious, always seemed to have all the time in the world. Now let's look at the neurological mechanism behind this, because understanding the why will help you apply the technique with more conviction. When you move slowly, two things happen simultaneously in the surrounding brains. First, slow movements attract involuntary attention. The human visual system is programmed to detect rapid movements as potential threats or opportunities that may disappear. That's why you automatically look when something moves quickly in your field of vision. But slow, deliberate movements create a different kind of attention, a sustained, almost hypnotic attention. People literally can't look away from someone moving with controlled slowness because the brain interprets it as this person is too important to ignore. Second, and perhaps more importantly, slow movements trigger an automatic submissive response in the observer. Why? Because slow movements communicate an abundance of resources and an absence of threats. Only those at the top of the hierarchy can afford to move slowly. Those below must always be alert, always accelerated. When you pick up a glass slowly, when you turn your head in a controlled manner, when you gesture with fluid but unhurried movements, you are saying in a language that the reptilian brain understands perfectly, I am the predator here, not the prey. And the automatic response is deference and respect. Now let's move on to practical application, because theory without practice is worthless. Start by paying attention to how you move during the day. At the next meeting, when you reach for your pen, consciously slow down your movement. Instead of grabbing it quickly as you normally would, reach out calmly, take the object in a controlled manner. It will seem strange at first, but observe people's reactions. They will unconsciously pay more attention to you. When someone calls you and you need to turn your head to look, don't turn quickly. Slow down the turn, make it seem deliberate. When you need to walk around the room, don't rush. Take firm but unhurried steps, as if you own the space and time is working in your favor. Constant adaptability means training your body to naturally adopt these patterns until they become automatic. And look, there's a huge bonus. When you move slowly, you also feel calmer and more in control. It's a self-reinforcing cycle. You act calmly, your brain interprets that you are safe and in control, which makes you calmer, which makes you move even more controlled. And meanwhile, all the brains around you are categorizing you as someone of high status, someone who deserves attention and respect. The calculated use of force begins with the calculated use of the speed of your movements. Let's delve even deeper into this technique of deliberate slowness because it carries layers of psychological meaning that go far beyond what appears on the surface. When you move slowly, you're not just controlling the speed of your muscles, you're controlling the perception of time and space around you. Think about it. Who controls time in an interaction? Who can afford to pause, to not rush, to let moments of silence exist without discomfort? It's not the anxious person who needs to fill every empty second with words or movements. It's the person who feels that time is at their service. Machiavelli understood that virtù includes this quality of being in command, not only of external circumstances, but of one's own perception of control. When you move with deliberate slowness, you are visually demonstrating that you have abundant resources, that you are not in a hurry, that there is no nervous urgency governing your actions. And this triggers an instinctive response in observers. This person has so much power that they can slow down the world around them. Compare this to someone who moves frantically, grabbing things quickly, turning their head from side to side, making rapid gestures. This person seems to be reacting to the environment, being controlled by circumstances. No matter what position this person holds, their body language is screaming, "I'm not in control." And decisions based on real human nature show that people don't follow those who seem to be desperately reacting to reality. They follow those who seem to be calmly shaping reality. There's a fascinating concept you need to internalize. Moving slowly is a way of refusing to be rushed by the world. It's a silent but powerful declaration of independence and authority. Think about how many times you've caught yourself speeding up your movements because someone was waiting, or because you felt you were taking too long, or because the environment seemed to demand haste. Every time you do this, you are subconsciously submitting to external pressure, admitting that the expectations of others govern your actions. Now imagine the opposite. You're in a meeting, someone asks you a question, and instead of answering immediately and fidgeting nervously, you simply breathe, slow down. Pick up your glass slowly, take a sip, put the glass back down with fluid but unhurried movements, and only then answer. What have you just done? You declared through your body that you decide the pace of the interaction, not others. You forced everyone in the room to wait for your time, and waiting is a subtle but brutal form of submission. When people wait for you, they are tacitly acknowledging that your time and attention are more valuable than their anxiety for quick answers. It's the appearance of virtue being demonstrated not through fine words, but through absolute physical control of your own pace. And here's a truth that few realize. Deliberate slowness also protects you from making impulsive mistakes. When you're constantly rushing, you react instead of responding. You make decisions based on impulse, not strategy. On the other hand, when you consciously slow down your movements, you create a mental space between stimulus and response. This space is where strategic intelligence lives. Machiavelli spoke of the importance of decisions based on real human nature. And part of that nature is that rushed humans make mistakes, while controlled humans calculate their moves better. Think about how a chess master behaves. He doesn't move frantically. He doesn't get restless between moves. He observes, thinks, and when he finally moves the piece, the movement is deliberate, controlled, definitive. You need to bring the same energy to the social game. When you move slowly, you are saying, I think before I act. I am not governed by impulses. I am in total control of my actions. No, and this unspoken message is incredibly powerful because it taps into the primal fear people have of unpredictable and impulsive individuals, while generating automatic respect for individuals who demonstrate absolute control. The calculated use of force also manifests itself in the calculated use of speed. And slowness, in this context, is a refined form of psychological force that dominates without needing to shout. This is one of nature's most brutal and elegant truths, and when you truly understand it, your way of moving in the world changes forever. Watch any wildlife documentary and observe gazelles, rabbits, small rodents. They all move frantically, nervously, hyper-vigilantly. Why? Because they are prey. Every quick movement is an attempt to escape imminent death. Every second of inattention could be their last. Now, observe the predators at the top of the food chain. Lions, tigers, crocodiles. They move with an almost lazy slowness. Not because they are slow. When they need to, they explode with brutal speed, but because they can afford to conserve energy, to observe, to wait for the right moment. They are not afraid because no one is hunting them. And the most fascinating thing is that prey recognize predators instantly, not by appearance, but by their movement patterns. A lion might be 50 meters away, but if it moves with that characteristic slowness, all the gazelles in the area trigger an internal alarm. Why? Because slow, deliberate movements communicate, I don't need to hurry because I am the danger here. Now, translate that to the human environment. When you move quickly, nervously, restlessly, you are activating prey pattern recognition in the brains around you. When you move slowly, controlled, deliberately, you activate predator pattern recognition. And humans obey perceived power, not logic. So even in civilized environments like offices and meetings, these ancestral patterns continue to govern who respects whom. Let's make this even more concrete with examples you can observe today. Take that coworker everyone kind of ignores or doesn't take very seriously. I bet they move too fast, grab things in a hurry, speak quickly as if afraid of taking up other people's time, turn their head quickly when called, gesture frantically. They literally look like prey in a constant state of alert, trying not to be devoured. Now take that other colleague or boss that everyone automatically respects, even when they don't necessarily have more technical competence. Notice how they move. Slowly, without haste, as if they had all the time in the world. When they pick up their cell phone, it's not a sudden movement, it's fluid, controlled. When someone calls them, they don't turn their head immediately. They finish what they were doing, and only then, in their own time, turn to look. When they walk, they don't seem rushed. It seems like they're strolling through their own territory. This person understood, consciously or unconsciously, that prey moves fast. Predator moves slowly. And by adopting the movement pattern of a predator, she triggers in everyone around her the automatic categorization of powerful person deserves respect. Machiavelli observed this in princes. Those who truly commanded were not those who ran from one side to the other, trying to solve everything urgently. They were those who moved with that calculated calm that communicated absolute control over the territory and the circumstances. Here's a practical exercise that will change your life if you apply it seriously. For the next 7 days, conduct a conscious experiment. Deliberately slow down every movement you make. When picking something up, do it in slow motion. When turning your head, turn in a controlled and fluid way. When walking, take firm but unhurried steps. At first, it will seem artificial, even uncomfortable. You'll feel an internal urgency screaming, "Speed up, you're taking too long, people will find it strange." Ignore that voice. It's your prey brain trying to keep you in the safe pattern of submission. Continue practicing deliberately slow movements and observe what happens. People will start paying more attention when you speak. They will wait for you to finish before interrupting. They will unconsciously treat you with more deference. Why? Because you've shifted from prey to predator in body language, and primitive brains respond to that automatically. Constant adaptability means having the courage to experiment with these new patterns, even when they seem strange initially. And look, you don't need to become a slow-motion robot. It's about finding that point of equilibrium where your movements are visibly more controlled and deliberate than those of most of the hurried people around you. When you hit that point, you literally feel the shift in the energy of the interactions. Suddenly, you're no longer reacting to the world, you're commanding its rhythm. Now let's delve deep into the science behind all this, because when you understand exactly what's happening in people's brains, you gain brutal confidence to apply these techniques without hesitation. There's a region in the brain called the posterior parietal cortex that's responsible for detecting and processing movement in the surrounding environment. This region evolved to keep you alive. It identifies rapid movements as potential threats or opportunities that need immediate attention. That's why you automatically look when something moves quickly in your field of vision. But here's the fascinating detail. Slow, deliberate movements activate a different neural network, one that's associated not with fleeting threat or opportunity, but with social importance and relevance. When someone moves slowly around you, your brain interprets this as, this person isn't running away, isn't hunting, isn't in danger, therefore they're in control of the situation. And control is the #1 marker of social dominance. So what happens? Your brain involuntarily categorizes that person as high status and worthy of sustained attention. It's not a conscious decision. It's automatic processing that happens even before you think about the person. That's why decisions based on real human nature are so powerful. They operate below the radar of consciousness, where people can't resist or argue back. They simply feel they must pay attention and respect them. But there's more. Slow movements also trigger a specific response related to social submission. Studies in primates, our closest evolutionary relatives, show that dominant individuals move significantly slower than subordinate individuals. Alpha apes walk through their territory with almost majestic slowness, while lower-ranking apes move quickly, always alert, always ready to get out of the way. And when a subordinate primate sees a dominant one moving slowly towards them, a specific neurological cascade occurs. Release of cortisol, the stress hormone, activation of the amygdala, the fear center, and automatic appeasement behaviors. Looking away, shrinking, creating distance. All this happens before the conscious animal thinks about what it's doing. Now, humans are just primates with smartphones. We have the same brain structures, the same neurological circuits. When you move slowly and deliberately, you are triggering these same circuits in the people around you. They don't think, they feel a slight tension, a desire to please you, an impulse to seek your approval. Machiavelli didn't have access to MRI scans, but he observed behaviorally what modern neuroscience confirms. The calculated use of psychological force through body language is incredibly effective because it works on a level that escapes people's conscious control. And here's a brutal, practical application that combines all of this. The next time you need to give an instruction or make an important request, consciously slow down all your movements before and during the communication. If you're sitting, don't lean forward anxiously, lean back slightly. Make eye contact, breathe. This automatically slows your internal rhythm. And then speak with deliberate pauses while keeping your body absolutely still. After giving the instruction, instead of waiting anxiously for a response, simply pick something up, a pen, a glass, extremely slowly, or slowly turn your head to look at something else, as if obedience was so certain that it doesn't even need confirmation. What have you just done neurologically? You've forced the other person's brain to process you as dominant through multiple simultaneous channels. Slow movements activated the social relevance network, bodily stillness communicated control, and the casual diversion of attention after giving the order communicated absolute expectation of obedience. All of this happens on a level that the person can't verbalize. They only know they felt compelled to do what you asked. Constant adaptability means training these sequences until they become natural, until your body automatically adopts these patterns in situations of authority. And when you reach that level, it will seem like you've gained superpowers. But in reality, you've only learned to speak fluently the first language of power, the language that primitive brains understand long before words arrive. Now let's move on to the second technique that will radically transform how you are perceived in any environment. Occupying space in an expansive and dominant way. And look, this isn't about being rude or invasive. It's about claiming the territory that is rightfully yours and doing so with the confidence of someone who belongs there. Most people spend their entire lives trying to occupy as little space as possible, as if apologizing for existing. They sit with their arms glued to their bodies, legs tightly crossed, shoulders hunched forward, literally trying to disappear. And do you know what that communicates to all the brains around them? I don't deserve to be here. I'm insignificant. You can ignore me. Compare that to someone who sits occupying the entire chair, arms relaxed on the armrests or on the table, legs slightly apart on a solid base, chest open, shoulders back. This person hasn't said a word yet, but has already communicated, I belong here. This space is mine by right. And the response from the brains around them is automatic. Respect, attention, deference. Why? Because occupying space as a demonstration of status is a pattern as old as social life itself. Machiavelli observed that princes always occupied the most prominent spaces, not by accident, but because they intuitively understood that physical control of space communicates social and political control. Decisions based on real human nature recognize that the more space you physically occupy, the more social and hierarchical space your brain, and the brains of others, believes you deserve. Let's break down the exact mechanics of an expansive posture, because the details make all the difference. It starts with the shoulders. They should be back, not in a rigid military way, but naturally open. This automatically opens your chest, and an open chest communicates confident vulnerability. You're not protecting yourself because you have nothing to protect yourself from. Legs. When seated, they should be firmly on the ground, shoulder-width apart. For men, it can be even a little wider. It also works perfectly for women. Tightly crossed legs communicate defensiveness and closure. Legs firmly on the ground communicate stability and power. Arms, this is crucial. Arms glued to the body say, "I'm trying not to bother anyone, I'm small." Relaxed arms, but occupying space, whether on the armrests of the chair, on the table in meetings, or with hands clasped behind the head at appropriate moments, say, "I'm comfortable here. This territory is mine." And look, there's a hormonal bonus here. Studies show that when you force your body to adopt expansive postures, even for just 2 minutes, your brain increases the production of testosterone, the hormone associated with confidence and dominance, and reduces cortisol, the stress hormone. So you're not just looking more powerful, you're literally becoming more biochemically powerful. It's the calculated use of strength starting from within your own body, reprogramming your internal chemistry through external posture. Now let's apply this to the real world, because theory without practice is just bar talk. At your next meeting, arrive a few minutes early and strategically choose where to sit. Don't choose that chair against the wall where you can be discreet. Choose a central or prominent position. Sit down and consciously expand your body in the chair. Arms on the armrests or on the table, not crossed defensively. Legs firmly planted on the floor, back straight but relaxed against the backrest. Occupy all the space that chair offers. At first, it will seem like you're taking up too much space, that you're going to bother someone. That's your submissive programming screaming. Ignore it. You have as much right to the space as anyone else there. And observe what happens. People will unconsciously treat you with more respect. They will interrupt you less. They will ask for your opinion more often. Why? Because you claim territory with your body. And claiming territory is the universal signal of dominance that all brains understand. Machiavelli spoke about the importance of the appearance of virtue, and part of that appearance is physical. You literally need to look like you belong in a position of power. Constant adaptability means practicing this physical expansion in all environments until it becomes your default posture. And when you reach that point, you'll notice a radical change. Doors that were previously closed begin to open, simply because you finally look like someone who deserves to walk through them. Let's delve even deeper into this concept of spatial occupation because it carries truths about social hierarchy that most people never stop to think about. In any primate group, including humans, there is a direct and measurable correlation between how much physical space an individual occupies and their position in the social hierarchy. Dominant individuals literally occupy more space. They spread out, relax, put their feet up, extend their arms. Subordinates compress, shrink, minimize their physical presence. And this is neither coincidence nor conscious choice. It's a pattern that evolved because occupying space costs resources. In nature, only those with enough power to defend territory can afford to occupy it openly. Those who are weak need to hide, compress, avoid drawing attention. So when you occupy space expansively, you are transmitting in a primitive but powerful language. I have the resources to defend this territory. I'm strong enough not to hide. And the brains around you process this instantly as a marker of high status. It has nothing to do with arrogance. It has to do with non-verbal communication of social value. Machiavelli understood that the end justifies the means when it comes to establishing authority, and one of the most effective means is simply to physically occupy the space of someone who has authority, until your brain and the brains of others begin to believe that you actually have it. There's a fascinating experiment that perfectly illustrates this. Researchers took two groups of people and asked one group to sit in expansive postures, occupying space, and the other group to sit in compressed postures, minimizing space, for just 5 minutes. Then they offered everyone the chance to participate in a risky bet. Do you know what happened? The group that occupied space had a much higher acceptance rate of the bet. They felt more powerful, more confident, more willing to take risks. The compressed group rejected most of the bets. They felt less powerful, more cautious, more anxious, and nobody said anything to them about power or status. Simply forcing the body to occupy or not occupy space completely changed how they felt internally and how they behaved. Now imagine what happens when you spend years of your life occupying the minimum possible space. You literally trained your brain to see you as someone of low status. And worse, you trained all the brains around you to see you the same way. Decisions based on real human nature acknowledge that you can't expect to be treated as an authority if your body language is constantly communicating, "I am insignificant." On the other hand, when you consciously begin to occupy more space, you reprogram not only how others see you, but how you see yourself. It's transformation from the inside out and from the outside in simultaneously. Here's a specific technique you can apply immediately that will generate visible results, claiming territory with your body in shared environments. At a meeting table, don't settle for the minimum space in front of you. Place your notebook, your pen, your glass, your cell phone, spread your belongings, occupying more space on the table. This unconsciously communicates, "This area is mine." In a standing conversation, don't keep your arms glued to your body. Leave one arm relaxed in your pocket and the other gesture occupying the airspace around you. In an elevator or tight space, don't squeeze into a corner. Stand in a central position with an open posture, obviously respecting others' space, but without unnecessarily minimizing yourself. Every time you do this, you are sending signals of dominance that accumulate over time in how people perceive you. And there's more. Occupying space also protects you from being dominated by others. Have you noticed how people with a dominant presence invade other people's space? A touch on the shoulder, getting closer than is comfortable, placing objects in someone else's space. They do this because they are testing and establishing hierarchy. If you shrink back or retreat, you tacitly accept an inferior position. If you maintain your occupied space firmly, but not aggressively, you communicate equality or even superiority. The calculated use of spatial force is one of the most subtle yet brutally effective tools in the arsenal of those who understand how power truly works in human interactions. Now let's break down the expansive posture into its individual components, because each element carries a specific and powerful meaning in the non-verbal language of dominance. It starts with the shoulders back. This isn't about turning into a soldier in a rigid, artificial attention position. It's about undoing that defensive curvature that most people carry without realizing it. Think about how you probably sit right now while reading this. Shoulders slightly curved forward, protecting your chest. This is a protective posture that evolved to protect vital organs when you are in danger. The problem is that when you adopt this posture all the time, you are constantly communicating, "I need to protect myself. I am vulnerable. I am in a defensive position." Now imagine the opposite, relaxed shoulders but naturally pulled back, opening your chest. What does this communicate? I don't need to protect myself because there is no threat. I am confident in my ability to handle whatever comes. It's the appearance of virtue being manifested through posture. You look strong, reliable, in control, even if internally you are still building that confidence. And here's the secret. Your brain believes what your body does. When you pull your shoulders back and open your chest, confidence hormones begin to circulate, anxiety decreases, and you literally start to feel more powerful. Machiavelli observed that effective princes not only acted with power, they embodied power physically, and this made others naturally believe in their authority. An open chest is the direct complement to shoulders back, and perhaps the most powerful element of all, because the chest is biologically associated with the heart and lungs, the body's vital center. When you open your chest, you are symbolically exposing your most vulnerable area, and doing so communicates brutal confidence. It's like saying without words, I can afford not to defend myself because I am strong enough to handle anything. Compare two people in a negotiation. One sitting with their chest closed, arms crossed or bent forward, protecting their torso. The other with an open chest, relaxed arms, exposed torso. Which one seems more confident? Which one seems to be in a position of strength? The second one, always. Because an open chest communicates an abundance of resources and an absence of fear. And there's a subtle but important detail. Breathing. When your chest is open, you automatically breathe more deeply and in a more relaxed way. Deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system, which makes you calmer and more focused. So, it's a virtuous cycle. An open heart leads to better breathing, which leads to less anxiety, which leads to more genuine confidence, which leads to an even more open heart. Decisions based on real human nature recognize that you can't separate mental state from physical state. They influence each other all the time, and when you master the physical, the mental naturally follows. Strong legs are the literal and figurative foundation of this entire power structure. Think of construction. Every building needs a solid foundation or it collapses. Your body is the same. When you sit or stand with strong legs, planted on the ground shoulder-width apart, weight evenly distributed, you create a base of physical stability that automatically translates into perceived psychological stability. Compare this to someone who sits with their legs tightly crossed, or with all their weight on one foot, or swaying from side to side. That person seems unstable, insecure, ready to run away. On the other hand, someone with strong planted legs seems unshakable, grounded, impossible to destabilize. And there's more. Strong legs also give you freedom of movement in your upper torso. When your base is weak, you're stuck trying to maintain balance. When your base is strong, you can make broad gestures, turn your torso, lean as needed, all from a solid foundation. Machiavelli spoke of virtù and fortuna. Fortuna can give you opportunities, but virtù, that blend of skill, strength, and presence, is what keeps you seizing those opportunities. And virtù literally begins with your feet firmly on the ground, with a physical base that communicates you cannot be easily moved or intimidated. Constant adaptability means training your body to automatically adopt this triad. Shoulders back, chest open, legs firm. And when this becomes your default posture, you will feel, and everyone around you will feel, a radical change in the energy you project. Now let's talk about one of the most powerful and primitive behaviors in human interactions, claiming physical territory with the body. And look, this goes far beyond simply occupying space. It's about declaring ownership of that space in a way that makes the surrounding brains automatically recognize your dominance. Think about how animals mark their territory. Wolves urinate on edges, cats rub scent glands, birds sing from high points. Humans do the same thing, only in more sophisticated and socially accepted ways. When you enter a meeting room and put your jacket on the back of the chair, spread your materials on the table, sit down occupying all the available space, and perhaps even put your feet, appropriately, on some support, you are marking your territory. You are saying without words, "This space is mine. I belong here. I have the right to be here." And the response of the primitive brains around you is automatic. They recognize the territorial claim and either challenge it if they feel they have equal or superior status, or accept it if they recognize inferior status. Most people accept things automatically because they come with social programming to avoid unnecessary conflict. So when you claim territory confidently, you usually succeed without resistance. Machiavelli understood that it's better to be feared than loved when it comes to maintaining control, but the modern, less brutal version of this is, it's better to claim territory confidently than to wait for permission to occupy it. Permission implies hierarchy, where you are below. Claiming implies equality or superiority. There's a fascinating aspect of territorial psychology that few realize. When you successfully claim territory, you trigger an automatic cascade of behavioral submission in observers. They unconsciously begin to adjust to your space. They move aside when walking nearby, ask permission to pick up something that's in your area, speak in a slightly more respectful tone when they're in your territory. And none of this is conscious. It's automatic processing of territorial hierarchy that comes from millions of years of social evolution. Think about how this works in practice. You're at a meeting table, and from the beginning you've established your territory. Your objects scattered, your body occupying space, your arms using the armrests. When someone needs to pass something across the table and the shortest route would be through your space, notice how the person will take a longer path to avoid invading your area. That's automatic territorial submission. Or when someone goes to get the water pitcher that's technically in front of everyone, but closer to you, notice how the person will make eye contact and perhaps even ask permission verbally or with gestures. Again, automatic submission to the territory you've established. The calculated use of territorial force is one of the most subtle yet effective tools because it operates entirely below people's conscious awareness. They don't know why they're behaving more deferentially toward you. They just know they feel they should. And here's a practical application that will immediately change your interactions. The next time you enter a shared space, be it a meeting room, a coffee shop with friends, or a social event, arrive with the mindset of, "This space is mine until proven otherwise." Not aggressively or disrespectfully, but with natural confidence. Choose where you want to sit. Don't wait for someone to indicate it. Spread your belongings out, occupying a reasonable but visible area. Sit with an expansive posture. If appropriate, rest an arm on the back of the chair next to you, even if it's empty. Use vertical space as well. Don't just occupy the horizontal surface of the table. Gesture using the airspace around you. And here's the ultimate test of whether you've successfully claimed territory. Observe if people start asking your permission, verbally or non-verbally, to use spaces that are technically shared but that you've established as yours. If so, congratulations. You've activated automatic territorial submission. If not, you need to be more assertive in your claim. Machiavelli observed that decisions based on true human nature include recognizing that humans are territorial animals, and whoever dominates the territory dominates the social interactions that occur within it. Constant adaptability means practicing territorial assertion in increasingly challenging contexts until it becomes second nature. And when you master this, you'll discover that you literally carry your territory with you. Any space you occupy automatically becomes your space, and everyone around you recognizes this without you needing to say a word. We've now arrived at one of the most counterintuitive and powerful techniques of all, the art of being absolutely still. And look, this goes against everything your anxious body wants to do, but that's exactly why it works so well. Most people are in constant motion, moving their hands, adjusting their position, swinging their leg, touching their face, making micro-expressions all the time. This constant movement communicates anxiety, nervousness, lack of control. Now imagine the opposite, someone who remains perfectly still while speaking or listening. Relaxed body but without restlessness, hands resting without moving, face maintaining a neutral expression without nervous changes. The effect of this is almost hypnotic and disturbing at the same time. Why? Because stillness concentrates energy and attention in a way that movement cannot. When you are still, people can't easily read you. There are no nervous gestures to interpret, no restlessness that betrays insecurity. You become a solid, illegible presence, and this creates a subtle but brutal psychological pressure on those who interact with you. People begin to fill the void of your immobility with their own insecurities. They ask themselves, what is this person thinking? Why are they so calm? Should I be nervous? And the more they ask themselves, the more power you accumulate in the interaction. Machiavelli observed that the most feared princes were not those who shouted or gesticulated wildly. They were those who maintained a calculated stillness that left others constantly guessing at their intentions. Because humans obey perceived power, not logic, and immobility is one of the most powerful signs of absolute control. Standing still while speaking is especially powerful because it goes against the normal pattern of communication. Most people gesture frantically when they speak, as if they need gestures to give force to their words. But when you speak while keeping your body perfectly still, perhaps only your hands resting quietly on the table or the arms of the chair, torso fixed, head steady, your words gain disproportionate weight. Why? Because there is no competition. There are no distracting gestures, no movement stealing attention. People are forced to focus exclusively on what you are saying, and this makes each word seem more important, more considered, more definitive. Compare two people giving the same instruction, one gesturing nervously, fidgeting in their chair, making exaggerated expressions, the other completely still, only their mouth moving to form the words, the rest of their body in total stillness. Which of the two seems more confident? Which seems more certain of what they are saying? The second, always. Because stillness communicates, I'm so sure of what I'm saying that I don't need gestures to reinforce it. I don't need movement to convince, my words are enough. And there's a neurological bonus. When you eliminate unnecessary movements, you also eliminate wasted mental energy. Your mind becomes more focused, clearer, and more capable of choosing precise words. It's the calculated use of force manifesting itself through the absence of unnecessary movement. Here's a practical application that might seem strange at first, but will yield impressive results. In your next important conversation, consciously freeze your body. Sit or stand in a comfortable but firm position and then simply don't move. Hands resting, legs planted, torso still, face neutral. At first you'll feel an almost unbearable urge to move. Your body will scream, do something. You look like a robot. Ignore it. Breathe deeply. Breathing is the only movement allowed, and remain still. Speak slowly, without gestures. Listen without constantly making micro-expressions of approval or disapproval. Remain unreadable, and observe what happens. The other person will start moving more, speaking faster, trying to fill the void of your immobility. They will become progressively more nervous, while you become progressively more in control. This is pure psychological pressure being created through your refusal to be readable and predictable. Machiavelli understood that becoming illegible by eliminating nervous gestures is a form of power because it forces others to operate in uncertainty, and uncertainty breeds anxiety and submission. Decisions based on real human nature show that predictable people are easily manipulated. Illegible people command respect and caution. Constant adaptability means training your body to endure stillness even when every fiber wants to move. And when you master this technique, you will have access to a level of presence that most people will never achieve. Let's delve even deeper into this technique of remaining still while speaking, because it has layers of sophistication that completely separate amateurs from masters in the art of commanding presence. When most people speak, especially about something important or in high-pressure situations, their bodies become a festival of nervous movements, hands gesticulating uncontrollably, constant weight shifting from one leg to the other, posture adjustments with each sentence, touching the face or hair, fidgeting with clothing. Each of these movements is leaking anxiety and insecurity in high definition. The listener's brains pick up these signals and automatically discount the value of the words. If this person is so nervous talking about this, maybe what they're saying isn't so solid after all. Now think of the absolute opposite. Someone who speaks while keeping their body in total stillness. We're not talking about unnatural rigidity, but about relaxed and controlled stillness. The person plants their feet, if standing, or settles into their chair, if seated, adopts a powerful posture. Shoulders back, chest open, firm base, and then simply doesn't move while speaking. Their hands may be resting on the table, or one hand in a pocket with the other free but still, or both intertwined in a relaxed manner. The important thing is zero restlessness, and the effect on the listeners is almost magical. They instinctively perceive this person is so sure of what they are saying that their body is in total control. There's no nervousness leaking from anywhere. And this unconscious perception translates into automatic credibility and authority. There's a crucial detail here that most people don't understand: the difference between intentional gestures and nervous movements. Intentional gestures can be powerful, a hand deliberately extended to emphasize a point, a controlled movement pointing to something specific. But the key is that they are rare, deliberate, and happen with a clear purpose. Between these gestures, total immobility. Compare that to someone who is constantly gesticulating, where every movement is a nervous reaction without a clear purpose. The first pattern communicates control. The second communicates a lack of it. Machiavelli observed in Effective Princes that they were masters of economy of movement. Every gesture had meaning, nothing was wasted in restlessness. And this created a magnetic presence because people knew that when the prince moved, that movement meant something. When you adopt this pattern of immobility with rare and intentional gestures, you create the same effect. People pay absolute attention when you move because they know it's not meaningless nervous movement. It's the calculated use of force applied to gesticulation. Less is infinitely more powerful than much. And there's a psychological bonus. When you're not wasting energy on nervous movements, all that energy becomes available to better process what you're saying and how you're saying it. You literally become more articulate because you're not dividing mental resources between speaking and controlling restlessness. And here's the brutal exercise that will transform this theoretical skill into practice. Record yourself talking about a subject for 3 minutes. You can use your cell phone, watch the video, and count how many nervous movements you make. Posture adjustments, touching your face, purposeless gestures, body swaying. I bet it will be much more than you imagine. Now do it again, but this time with the conscious instruction to remain still. Choose a power pose, plant your body in it, and speak for the entire 3 minutes without moving, except if you want for 1 or 2 very deliberate and intentional gestures. It will be extremely uncomfortable at first. You will feel imaginary itching, the urge to adjust everything, a growing anxiety. Ignore it and continue. Then watch the two videos side by side. The difference will be shocking. In the first, you seem nervous and uncertain. In the second, you seem powerful and in control, even if the content is identical. Constant adaptability means practicing this immobility until it becomes natural. And look, at first, the people around you might even find it strange. Are you okay? Why are you so serious? Because they're used to the nervous and restless version of you. But as you maintain the pattern, their perception changes from strange to impressive. Decisions based on real human nature show that behavioral consistency creates new expectations, and new expectations create new social realities. Keep practicing until remaining still while speaking becomes your default pattern, and you'll discover that suddenly your words carry a weight they never had before. Wait. Before you leave here thinking you know everything, I need to tell you something that will completely change the game. The gesture I'm going to reveal in the next video is so psychologically invasive, so primitive in the way it controls people's brains, that when Machiavelli observed princes using this technique, he noted in his secret writings that this is the gesture that separates those who govern from those who are governed. And look, that's no exaggeration. Because all the gestures you've learned so far, slow movements, occupying space, immobility, pauses, are powerful, but they work at a conscious level. People may eventually perceive what you're doing, but the gesture in the next video, that one works at such a deep level of the reptilian brain that even when the person consciously knows what you're doing, their primitive brain can't resist. They feel the submission in their body before their mind processes what happened. I'm talking about a gesture that makes the person physically feel that you are above them in the hierarchy. And once the body feels this, the mind accepts it as truth. It lacks logic, argumentation, and rational defense. It's an automatic response programmed by millions of years of social evolution. And the most fascinating part? You've seen this gesture used against you hundreds of times in your life, but you never consciously realized it. That boss who intimidates you without yelling, that person everyone obeys without question, that leader who enters a room and automatically becomes the center of attention, they're all using the gesture in the next video. And now, you're going to learn exactly what, how, and when to use it. But I'm warning you, once you learn it, you won't be able to unsee it. You'll start identifying it happening everywhere, on TV, in meetings, in conversations around you. And then you'll have to choose, continue being a victim of this gesture, or start using it strategically. So click on the next video now, because every second you delay is another second where someone is using this gesture against you without you even realizing it. And trust me, after you know, you'll wonder how you ever lived your whole life without this information. You'll understand why you were always ignored when you should have been listened to, why you always obeyed when you should have been in command. The answer is in the next video. And before you click, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell right now, because this is just the beginning of a series of content about power, influence, and dominance that most people will never have access to. Click subscribe, activate notifications, and then go to the next video. See you there.